Hey everybody, it's Dave Hernly, your friendly neighborhood Starship Horizons programmer, and I'm here finally with a new video update. I can tell you over the last year, here's kind of what I've been hearing a lot from those of you as we've gone out to conventions and around the net. Yeah, if you could go ahead and do some more of those video updates, that'd be great. Okay, thanks. Okay, hey everybody, sorry for being so long since our last video update. That's really on me. A lot of things going on for me professionally, which in this last year, but that doesn't mean we have been sitting idle. Frankly, it's just been on me to get more of these video updates out to you, and we're going to keep doing that, starting with this one here. So what have we been up to? Well, frankly, quite a bit. Some of it you wouldn't necessarily know. Those of you that have participated in our early alpha stages, and then now starting with this last MagFest, the early access that we began, we've actually been working on a lot of the things what I would call under the hood. A lot of things relative to the networking quality, making sure things are more efficient. You know, the packet transfers are better, more stable. The memory usage on the application is better for older machines, things like that. So really a lot of stability things, but that's not it. If you've been paying attention, for those of you that have been playing at home, we actually have updated and added a few missions. We're going to continue to evolve those existing ones, but we also got a few more in the pipeline as it stands now. So it's some really exciting stuff. And we're at pre-release 8 right now. 9 will be coming before the end of February. So we've got some things to talk about there. And let's get right to that. So with this next release for the early access crew, what we will be working on is a couple things, frankly. First and foremost, engineering. That's been a big topic for everybody since I first mentioned it literally a year ago, and everybody's kind of like, where's engineering? Where's engineering? Well, for those of you that are playing at home, you'll notice that there is an icon for it where you can click on it, but it really doesn't do much, right? It's just kind of a bunch of sliders with components. Well, with the next release, you'll see a fully realized engineering station with component control, energy management, damage control of those components, and let's talk a little bit about that. With damage control, the Horizons, what we're going to be doing is two different damage models. The existing one that you see today is the external hull damage, right? So when your hull gets damaged in the middle of combat, you can kind of, if you have the energy to sneak away and pull away from the bad guys, you can actually then have your science officer send out some repair drones, right, to clean up the Horizon's hull or a ally's hull, etc. We're going to actually be moving the repair drones over to engineering so they can manage the hull repair. That will remain, so that's going to stay. So any of your actual physical hull damage, you will always need repair drones to take care of that. That's something that we feel very strongly about. Now, what about your components? Whether it's a weapon, your thrusters, your shield generators, your sensors, for example. If those get damaged, as we continue to evolve this, you're going to see issues with how the ship operates. The thrusters won't work as well. The weapons will stop working. Your shields obviously will go down. If your sensor model gets damaged, your visibility on your screen starts to get damaged. So, you know, it starts to warble and fade on you, so you don't really have visibility. And if your sensors get fully damaged, you're running blind, folks. Some pretty cool stuff there. So your engineer will actually be managing the damage control of those components and what the priority is and who needs to manage that. And your internal crew AI will be running back and forth doing all of those things to keep your ship running well. So engineering will kind of be taking on those two aspects and managing, you know, component outputs. So like, are we going to overdrive the shields? Are we going to overdrive the lasers? Are we going to move energy over here to keep things going? You know, the shields are down in the front, but we need to kind of transfer some energy over there to keep things going. That's what your engineer is going to really be focusing on, especially during combat. But as things progress, they may have to do some jiggling and moving things around to make sure that you have enough energy to do certain things, like go to FTL, for example, which is a very high energy process. So with that, I mentioned we're taking the repair drones away from sciences, right? Well, we're going to do something else to sciences too. We're going to be taking away the shuttles. The shuttles are going to be moved over to communications. Communications, if you've noticed, if you've played it at a convention or one of our early alpha teams or early access, what we've been slowly doing with communications is it had a complete overhaul just before MagFest. Again, Music and Gaming Festival in National Harbor, Maryland every year in January. Amazing time, you need to go. We unveiled the new communication station with a whole new kind of style of how it works, where your setting your mood so you can say, well, I want to be agitated, or I want to be friendly, or I want to be playful, etc. So you can kind of play with how you're talking to your the different ships that are out there, and then you kind of a whole new way of doing things, really. And we're really happy with where it's at. We're going to continue to tweak it, massage it, make it even a little bit better as things progress, especially with feedback from the teams out there and those of you playing at conventions. But if you've noticed, though, there's you have cargo bay information. You've had that for probably about 6 months now. We're going to be expanding communications to where their role really takes over the role of operations. So they're still going to be your communications officer, but they're also going to be handling your cargo bay, your flight deck, which includes the shuttles we mentioned before, but also your fighters or any other ships that may dock with you inside your flight deck. So they will be able to order anything that's in your flight deck to launch, and then also have communications with them throughout a particular mission to say, okay, we need you to go rendezvous with this freighter, or we need you to come back, you need to get back, things like that, so that the tactical officer will now be working with the communications/operations officer to kind of coordinate what the tactical officer wants done relative to, okay, you need to send these guys over here, I'm going to handle this over here, and go back and forth. So you're going to have a new kind of dialogue taking place with those two stations, which we're really looking forward to, frankly. But so let's go back to sciences. Well, we've just taken away the repair drones, and we've taken away the shuttles, excuse me. So what are we doing to sciences? What else are they going to be able to do, right? That's the next big thing we're working on. Sciences will have a complete overhaul, just like what we did to comms. Visually, it's going to look completely different. Right now, today, the radar system it has looks very similar, almost identical, really, to Flight and Tactical. That's going to be completely redone, where their model will be more analog, if you will. The science station will have more, true readings, right? An energy reading blip, a mass reading, or even a biological reading, and you'll actually have blips that have different sizes and indicators. So they're kind of doing more literal investigation of the area and being able to see it in a very different manner than Flight and Tactical. And the information they're going to be gathering from these blips and these different radar readings is going to be much more in-depth than what they've seen before. Today, when you scan a ship, you kind of get some of the breakouts of the kind of the hull composite, their shield rating, excuse me, their hull rating. Now sciences will be able to, once we're done with that update, be able to scan and see, what's component status, right? So I'll give you a great example is, a Star Trekian example in Wrath of Khan. They say, oh, our coil emissions are overloaded. Well, then Spock goes and scans, right? And he sees, oh, well, their coil emissions are normal. There's nothing wrong here. That's the kind of thing we want for sciences, where they can really do a deep dive on the status of a ship, whether it's friendly, whatever, so they can see what's going on with that ship. Are there life support systems failing? Sciences will be able to see those kinds of things, but it's not going to be just written out for them on paper. They're going to have to, on the screen, they're going to have to kind of do some deduction there, and you'll see what we're talking about as we get further along. But really a completely new model, and this includes, by the way, planets. Today, when you scan a planet, it works, and it comes up with a nice little, overview of the planet. That's going to completely be overhauled, where not only do you see that overview, but if there's any vegetation or electronic readings or anything, those will all show up as radar blips, because now you're scanning the planet, not the space around you. All of that will show up as well, and you'll get other readings like the tectonic activity, the atmospheric pressure, all sorts of nice, really scientific readings about planets. And as missions progress, that will play a role, where you have to find certain planets that may be habitable for a colonization, for example. And that's up to your science officer to determine what's the best option and see if it works, right? So all of those things are what we're working on right now in that order. So you're going to see engineering hit first, then you're going to see that slide over update to comms, and then you're going to see engineering sciences right after that. So in that order as we update. The last thing I'll talk about in terms of the updates we have in the immediate pipeline is the last station to get love. If you've heard, I've almost talked about every station except Flight, which is really one of our most well-rounded stations overall, is Tactical. Tactical will also get an update that will be a little bit more verbose, so that you can actually even potentially target subsystems of a ship. And so you can have some tactical aspects there. And I want to talk about combat in general. With the implementation of engineering and component damage and component usage, the actual combat nature of how Horizons has played up until now is going to really change. In essence, it's going to slow down in a lot of ways. Not to a crawl, but it's not going to be this really quick action where two capital ships duke it out for 10, 15, 20 seconds and it's over. It's going to be much more of a slugfest. And what I mean by that is the capital ship weapons that Horizons has and other capital ships have will fire in a much slower rate, but they're going to be stronger weapons. So their output will be much greater, but their rate of fire will be slower. So it's going to be more of a slugfest, which is going to be more in line really with what we want to do for the overall storyline. The reason for that is the damage is no longer just going to be to your hull. The damage is going to impact your systems. So it could impact your shield generator, it could impact your sensors like we were talking about. That's going to tactically change how both the AI and how your crew handles how that combat goes. So that's really going to be kind of one of the neat things we're looking forward to is how that combat evolves over time. And so you should expect to see that as we move forward. The missions that already exist and the new missions we have coming will be modified slightly to kind of fit into that new theme so that the ebb and flow of those missions is still good. So you should see that as well. Now, also with tactical, we have repair drones, we have shuttles. I didn't talk about this for sciences, but we'll also have probes for sciences. Forgot that. But with tactical, you'll also be able to lay mines and turrets. So we're adding a lot of layers to the game relative to what you can do for your stations and the kind of things you can do tactically, whether it's in a combat situation or just a research situation. You'll be able to do all that. So again, that's a lot of what we've got going on right now. One thing I want to talk about is we have had people over time, especially at conventions, reach out to us and say, hey man, I'd love to help out. What can I do? How can I help you guys? I love what you're doing. And I'll tell you right now, the biggest thing that's on my mind and the biggest thing that's on the team's mind is content. We are really, really wanting content because the engine's in a great place right now, especially with the things we're going to have coming out literally right around the corner. And whether that's missions, 3D models, textures, those kinds of things are what we're looking for help. And this is a grassroots effort, but we're building something here that we're really proud of. And if it's something you're interested in, you can reach out to us at info@mythric.com. That's info at mythric, mythric.com. So feel free to reach out to us if you want to get involved, and we'd love to talk to you soon. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to be a stranger. I will be doing more of these, certainly one at least every couple of weeks at a minimum for a while. And we'll keep that up as things progress, especially as we get through these first phases of the new engineering, the new communication/operations, the new tactical station, the new science station, and the evolution of all of them as we move forward. We've got some other things in the pipeline that we'll talk about after these goals are achieved. So again, it's been great talking to everybody. If you have any questions for us, reach out to us on the community forums at StarshipHorizons.com, and we'll see you around the galaxy.